In a world fueled by conflict,
You save your stories and now you just lost all credibility with you, really.
belligerence,
Keep my wife's name out your mouth!
and malicious comments,
You can see my belly, and we can all see you dying right now. Let's go for it.
comes a podcast where none of that exists. This is the Snozcast.
Who the hell ever heard of a Snozcast?
Hey, laser lips! Your mama was a snowblower.
Just one question. Ain't you got no ear holes?
Right turn, Clyde.
Hi, honey. Did you miss me?
With every bullet so far.
Shape, or you call it shape. With that perfume you wear at Catch of the Day.
Hello, and welcome to the Snozcast. My name is Bubba Cush Bundy, and I'll be your guide throughout our Valentine's Day.
Stroll down Amnesia Lane.
This week's episode revolves around a movie that set the foundation and paved the way for years of parody movies to come. And since Valentine's Day is right around the corner, I decided to go with a comedy that has romantic overtones. Films such as Scary Movie and The Naked Gun became instant classics as a result of this movie and the writer's creativity. Of course, I'm referring to the 1980 classic from the Zucker brothers and James Abrams, one of the original spoof classics, Airplane. Upon my research, and when I say research, I mean IMDb, the movie's audio commentary, and the book, Surely You Can't Be Serious, the true story of Airplane, written by the three writers themselves, I don't know who came up with the idea of a spoof or parody movie first. I'm sure most people usually think,
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
not just me, so I'm not going to claim to know where they came from.
Moving on.
For those of you who have never even heard of this movie, prepare yourself for a comedy unlike anything you've ever seen.
You can tell me I'm a doctor.
If you have a friend or a relative that's into movies in any way, shape, or form, I'm sure you've heard,
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
The tower! The tower! Rapunzel! Rapunzel!
I just want to tell you both. Good luck. We're all counting on you. Or can't you take a guess?
Well, not for another 2 hours.
You can't take a guess for another 2 hours?
hopefully you recognized a few of those, but if not, let me give you a rundown of what this movie is about. It's a love story.
Ted,
Yes?
I wanted you to know now. I'm very proud.
It's an action movie.
Mayday! Mayday! Mayday!
Mayday? What the hell is that?
Mayday? Why, that's the Russian New Year. You know, we'll have a big parade and we'll serve hot hors d'oeuvres.
It's about a former war pilot turned cab driver with severe PTSD trying to get the woman he loves, whom is a flight attendant, just to listen to him. So he buys a one-way ticket, leaving his cab and fare at the curb, on her flight, just so he can talk to her. Little does everyone know that the extreme effects of food poisoning are bound to take out the crew and its passengers. And the pilot, with the extreme PTSD, has to land a plane full of innocent people.
I don't have time to say this gently, so I'll be very direct. Everyone on this plane is in a desperate situation. Mr. Stryker is the only hope we've got.
Now, along the way is an entire crew of people helping this guy out, along with his ex-girlfriend whom he's trying to get back. Not only is there a doctor aboard, but a ground crew made up of a crazy cast. Oh, did I forget to mention the cast? No, I sure as hell didn't. The cast is what makes this movie special. Every actor is completely perfect for their role, and it shows with every line uttered. Now, who all is in this movie that makes it so special?
Let me try attention!
Leslie Nielsen, for starters, a dramatic actor turned comedy legend, and it all started with this movie. If you watched a parody movie in the 80s or 90s, there's a good chance Leslie Nielsen was in it.
Look, remember, when you fall on your face, you're still moving forward.
Master!
Renfield, look at me. I'm drinking wine and eating chicken.
Master, what are you doing out in the daytime?
Relax, Renfield. I am cured.
No, you're not. Look.
Ooh, I made a mistake. I've got to get back to my cabin.
Please.
Oh, it's all right. I'm sure that we can handle this situation maturely, just like the responsible adults that we are. Isn't that right, Mr. Poopy Pants?
Not only does he have some of the best scenes in the movie, but he is also one of two people that have some of the best lines in the movie. For example...
What is it, Doctor? What's going on?
I'm not sure. Haven't seen anything like this since the Anita Brad concert. I know nothing about flying, but there's one thing I do know. You're the only one on this plane who can possibly fly it. You're the only chance we've got. I don't know where I'll be then, Doc, he said. I won't smell too good, that's for sure.
He's the type of actor that others will set up for an extreme joke. If you've ever gotten the luxury of being in a scene with Leslie Nielsen, I consider you to be a lucky individual. According to the true story of Airplane, in Vincent Price's obituary, he mentioned that his biggest regret was turning down the part of Dr. Rumack in Airplane. Now, can you imagine that? Vincent Price playing straight comedy?
Right.
Now, the book also mentions Leslie's legendary fart machine. Now, I've seen this firsthand in a number of interviews that he has done in the past, and he keeps this little fart maker in his back pocket. The machine had a little remote control with it that he kept hidden in his hand and would press at just the right moments. He was notorious for hitting that button at just the right time and ruining takes in movies, especially with Robert Hayes, the guy who played Ted Stryker. Like I just made mention, Robert Hayes plays the main character, Ted Stryker.
What a pisser.
Another actor known for being all over the place, he has been in dozens of television comedies over the years. Everything from Laverne and Shirley,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Hassenbemp Incorporated.
We're gonna do it. Give us any chance, we'll take it. With any rule, we'll break it.
to that 70s show.
Hello, Wisconsin!
Now, any actor that got the chance to share the screen with this man seemed to jump at the opportunity. He is so good at what he does that the other actors know not only will they have a great time with him, but they're almost guaranteed a laugh as well. He was the last person to be cast in this movie, and it turns out it was for good reason. They needed an actor who could play straight comedy and still do scenes depicting PTSD and romance. They started screen tests with David Letterman and ended with the result and complete understanding that Letterman just couldn't act. Bruce Jenner, nowadays referring to herself as Caitlyn Jenner, even came in and tried out twice for the lead role. However, as soon as Robert Hayes left the office after the first read, they knew they had their Ted Stryker.
That's it?
Next on our Valentine's Day edition of the Snozcast is the love interest, Elaine Dickinson, portrayed by the compassionate Julie Haggerty. I don't know this woman personally, but she seems like one of the sweetest people on earth. So sweet, in fact, that if she came to me and asked me if she could brush my teeth with a brick, she sounds sweet enough, I'd probably let her do it.
Where are your brains, in your ass?
Here's a couple examples of her soft-spoken nature and see if you can understand what I'm talking about.
Oh, Ted, I never knew I could be so happy. These past few months have been just wonderful. They've cleared you of any blame for what happened on that raid. Isn't that good news?
Is it? Because of my mistake, 6 men didn't return from that raid.
7, Lieutenant Zip died this morning. But Dr. Sandler says she'll be out in a week. Isn't that wonderful?
Wish I could say the same for George Zip.
Of all the actresses in Hollywood at the time, the one lady who wanted this part was Shelley Long.
Good Lord!
She tried out several times for the role and was highly disappointed that she lost out to Julie Haggerty.
Man!
And another actress that went the extra mile for this role was Sigourney Weaver. She went as far as to dress up in 1940s stewardess costume, complete with full makeup and 40s hairstyle. But the innocence of Julie Haggerty and the true side of Robert Hayes is what made their chemistry work so well together. You can see it in the very beginning when Ted begs Elaine to stay.
Elaine, I've got to talk to you.
I just don't want to go over it anymore.
I know things haven't been right for a long time, but it'll be different. Like it was in the beginning. If you'll just be patient, I can work things out.
I have been patient and I've tried to help, but you wouldn't even let me do that.
Don't you feel anything for me at all anymore?
It takes so many things to make love last. Most of all, it takes respect. And I can't live with the man I don't respect.
And even later on, the warmth is there in their voices and can even be felt.
Ted,
Yes?
I wanted you to know now. I'm very proud.
Tell him the gear is down and we're ready to land.
The gear is down and we're ready to land.
Robert Hayes went as far as saying that he and Julie Haggerty tried really hard to flesh out the love story aspect of it and not lose it in the jokes. They both felt that it was really important to have that serious part of the film work. One day, after having lunch together, the boys came running up to them after reading the dailies and said, "You know, this is a really cool love story." Julie and Robert just kind of looked at each other and were like, "Well, yeah, it is, too. Kinda." Mission Impossible star Peter Graves takes the pilot seat in this wacky comedy. Though some of the dialogue written for him is really kind of gross, the rest of it is really funny. He comes across as a really competent pilot.
Chicago, this is Flight 209er. We're in trouble. We've got to have all traffic below us cleared, and I want a priority approach and landing in Chicago.
And like Leslie Nielsen, plays it straight-faced as he delivers his lines, which makes him really damn funny in this movie.
Excuse me, this is the operator, Captain Over. I have an emergency call for you on line 5 from a Mr. Ham.
All right, give me Ham on 5. Hold the mail.
Initially, he threw the script across the room, calling it trash originally, and hating his role. However, even the writers themselves said that the jokes just kind of evolved on the spot, using every opportunity they could to make a joke. Things weren't set out that way, they just kind of happened. And in the beginning of the movie, you see Captain Over reading a copy of Modern Sperm magazine. They kind of thought from there, wouldn't it be funny if we just made him a pervert? According to Jim Abrams, they never thought, wouldn't it be funny if the pilot was a pedophile?
You ever been in a cockpit before?
No, sir, I've never been up in a plane before.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Was just an outrageous line that developed into Captain Over's character.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
In retrospect, in everything that I've read and everything that I've heard, the writers insist, and I kind of believe, that they were going for a pervert for a character, not a pedophile. Now, that's just my personal opinion, and we'll leave it at that. You can't have a huge cast and a big movie without a big sports star. For this one, they chose former Laker, NBA legend, and Hall of Famer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Not only does he play Roger Murdoch, the co-pilot, but he also plays himself.
I think you're the greatest, but my dad says you don't work hard enough on defense. And he says that lots of times you don't even run down court. And that you don't really try, except during the playoffs.
The hell I don't. Listen, kid. I've been hearing that crap ever since I was at UCLA. I'm out there busting my buns every night. Tell your old man to drag Walton and Lanier up and down the court for 48 minutes.
Originally, they wanted Pete Rose to play this part, but they were filming during summer and Pete was busy with baseball. So they looked around and eventually settled on Kareem. Kareem is apparently very, very shy. People often mistook that for him being aloof or even arrogant, but the truth was he was quite the opposite. Kind, thoughtful, and exceedingly smart. He even thought that he had come across the wrong way to the public and thought it would be a great way to poke fun at his own image and get people to laugh at a few things. He wasn't seeking an acting career, rather just exploring options as most athletes do. Kareem just took his basketball career so seriously and was just so focused on it that people didn't think that he could do anything else. So it was a really great opportunity for this guy.
Excellent!
For those of my friends born before or around the 1980s, you know simply by the sound of the music playing who I'm about to introduce. This man could do it all with the same straight face. He's composed, cosmopolitan, and debonair. He is Robert Stack. Being able to do both serious and comedic roles, his career flourished in the 80s and 90s, but it was his ability to play it straight that got him his role in this comedy.
Obviously.
Robert Stack himself didn't think this movie would do well at all. He was so confident, in fact, that it would bomb, that when he was offered a piece of the take, he respectfully declined. When it went on to make about $80 million, he wanted to
fall in the mud and get kicked in the head by an iron boot.
He was the first person they had in mind for this film, in fact, and they kind of built many things around him initially, but had troubles signing him, apparently. In general, the writers were in such an amateur phase of filming that when Robert Stack's agent asked them if it was a quote-unquote go movie, they asked, "What's a go movie?" There was a long pause on the other end of the line, and the agent said, "Come back when you have the money." Click. We also have legendary funny man Lloyd Bridges ringing in as Steve McCroskey, the man in charge of the airport. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but he is the father of another awesome actor, Jeff Bridges, a.k.a. The Dude.
I'm the Dude. So that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or Duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
That's right. This man...
God, that's loud. My ear canals are very sensitive. They're stainless steel. Took a bullet at Corregidor.
Pass straight through.
Is the father of this man.
Walter, what's the point, man?
And in his lifetime, he got to do it all. He fought Saddam Hussein.
We'll settle this the old Navy way. First guy to die loses.
Commanded an aircraft carrier.
Holy cow. My cap blew off. Swing it around. We'll pick it up.
But, sir, we're on the mission.
Good thinking. Yeah, we'll pick it up on the way back. You gotta mark the spot, though. Put Rabinowitz in a life raft. Have him row in circles until we return.
It could be days.
Then put some food in the life raft. For God's sake, man, do I have to think of everything? We'll tape his favorite shows. He won't miss anything.
Sir, there's no time.
Okay. How can I be an admiral without my cap? It's out there somewhere all alone. I'm here powerless to do anything about it.
And in this movie...
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
Lloyd Bridges was an extreme purist about what he put into his body, and it's in knowing that makes all of his lines that much funnier.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Lloyd Bridges himself said that he used to get a kick out of people walking up to him on the street and just simply saying the line,
"Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue."
What a funny line to be known for, honestly. I was watching a biography on Richard Pryor recently, and a Stanford professor by the name of Cecil Brown said in that bio that street language is a language. Now, that being said, from a man who would know better, there are two guys in this movie who speak quote-unquote jive.
Would you gentlemen care to order your dinners?
Bet, babe. Slide a piece of the porter. Drinks, I run the job.
Looky here. I can dig grease and trumpet on some butter and drag him through the garden.
Now, what makes these guys funny are a few things. When I watched the commentary on this movie, I found out that the two gentlemen who founded this routine started it back when they were in high school and have perfected it over the years. They have several great scenes in this movie, but the best one is the one they actually got a cameo for. The writers got Barbara Billingsley, a.k.a. June Cleaver, a.k.a. the quintessential 50s blue-collar mother, whitest of the white ladies to speak quote-unquote jive. Dressed in pearls and a house dress, she's able to communicate with these men when no one else can. Now, quick trivia before you hear the clip. The two actors who perfected the routine went to lunch with Miss Billingsley and were wonderful at teaching her the routine in that short period of time. In the end, her attitude while delivering the dialogue is what sells this scene.
Can I get you something?
It's your mofo butter laying me to the bone, jacking me up. Tight me.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Cuddy say can't hang.
Oh, stewardess, I speak jive.
Oh, good.
He said that he's in great pain and he wants to know if you can help him.
All right, would you tell him to just relax and I'll be back as soon as I can with some medicine.
Just hang loose, blood. She's gonna catch up on the rebound on the med side.
What it is, Big Mama? My mama didn't raise no dummies. I duck her rap.
Cut me some slack, Jack.
Say cutting when she only say we say be doing everything.
Chomp don't wanna help, Chomp don't get the help.
Say can't hang, say 7 up.
Jive ass dude don't got no brains anyhow.
Two of my favorite characters in this movie are the two kids acting, walking, talking, dressing, and straight up using the dialect and mannerisms of the adults around them, even though they appear to be no more than 8 years old. The boy is dressed in a blue leisure suit, and the girl is dressed like a schoolmarm. Yet the verbal exchange and the confused looks that the two exchange are quite funny. In fact, one of the phrases that the girl says is a mainstream pop culture phrase still used to this day.
Excuse me. I happened to be passing. I thought you might like some coffee. Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you. Well, won't you sit down? Thank you. Cream? No, thank you. I take it black. Like my man.
Another oddity you gotta look out for. Doesn't say much of anything at all. In fact, he doesn't say anything because he's an inflatable pilot by the name of Otto. O-T-T-O. Which, if you turn that inside out, spells the word toot. Though he's an inanimate object, he still somehow plays a major role in saving the lives of all the people aboard, and since he doesn't have any lines and disintegrated back in the writer's garage back in 1997, we'll move on to Johnny. Johnny is by far my favorite maverick weirdo in this movie, and what he actually does at the airport for a job is beyond me. You see him typing once, but that's about it. And somehow, he got the best lines in the movie next to Leslie Nielsen.
What kind of plane is it? Oh, it's a big, pretty white plane with red stripes and curtains in the window and wheels, and it looks like a big Tylenol.
He is the second half of the movie, and it's impossible to watch Airplane and not notice Steven Stucker, because his reactions were so outrageous, the writers couldn't write anything for him without it just being wrong. His reactions were too extreme to try and plan out, so what they did is they wrote setups for Steven Stucker, called him in, and had him finish off those fantastic punchlines that you hear throughout the movie.
Johnny, what can you make out of this?
This? Well, I could make a cap, or a brooch, or pterodactyl.
Passengers certain to die. Airline negligent.
There's a sale at Penny's.
All right, I'll need 3 men up in the tower. You, Newbauer, you must see us.
Me, John, big tree.
And with everyone playing it straight-faced, he was exactly what was needed for the exact opposite of what was being presented by Leslie Nielsen, Lloyd Bridges, and Robert Stack. Okay, now I told you about the great cast. Let's continue on where I left off.
What do we say?
Now.
Gotcha. Here's a quick order of events without spoilers. Our movie starts off, like I said, with our hero desperately trying to get the love of his life just to listen to him. But she has no interest and is leaving him for good.
I know things haven't been right for a long time, but it'll be different. Like it was in the beginning, remember?
I remember everything. All I have are memories. Mostly I remember the nights when we were together. I remember how you used to hold me, and how I used to sit on your face and wriggle, and afterwards how we'd watch until the sun came up. When it did, it was almost like each new day was created only for us.
That's the way I've always wanted it to be, Elaine.
He buys a one-way ticket just to get on board with this woman because he finally believes that he can change for good. Ted Stryker then proceeds to tell anyone that will listen his romantic story of he and Elaine.
Yeah, after the war, I just wanted to get as far away from things as possible, so Elaine and I joined the Peace Corps.
Dinner is served, and served with a side of food poisoning.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
The food poisoning comes from one of 2 in-flight meals served that evening.
Well, we had a choice, steak or fish.
Yes, I remember I had lasagna.
One by one, the passengers and crew members alike begin dropping, including the captain. The call goes out for help and is only returned once the pilot is completely incapacitated.
Come in, 209, this is Chicago. Flight 209, come in.
This is Elaine Dickinson. I'm the stewardess. Captain Over's passed out on the floor, and we've lost the co-pilot and navigator, too. We're in terrible trouble. Over.
Roger, Elaine. Roger, I read you. This is Steve McCroskey at Chicago Air Control.
Back to you in a minute.
How would a professional handle this?
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
You'd bring in a professional.
Get me Rex Kramer.
Ted Stryker remembers Captain Kramer all too well.
Stryker, this is Captain Rex Kramer speaking.
Yes, Captain Kramer. Read you loud and clear.
Right. It's obvious you remember me. So what do you say you and I just forget about everything except what we have to do now?
So if there wasn't enough to worry about, now there's extreme animosity between the only guy that can save the plane full of sick people and the expert on the ground.
How's it handling?
It's sluggish, like a wet sponge.
Sluggish.
Like a wet sponge.
All right, Stryker. You're doing just fine.
It's a damn good thing he doesn't know how much I hate his guts.
It's a damn good thing you don't know how much he hates your guts.
Two things you'll hear and see a lot of in this movie are the rehashing of jokes in different forms, and for some reason I find them all hilarious.
There's been a little problem in the cockpit.
The cockpit? What is it?
It's the little room in the front of the plane where the pilots sit. That's not important right now.
This woman has to be gotten to a hospital.
A hospital? What is it?
It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now.
I got a telegram from headquarters today.
Headquarters? What is it?
Well, it's a big building where generals meet, but that's not important right now.
The other is a mention of a man by the name of George Zip.
The pilot's name was George Zip.
George Zip said that?
Pay particular attention to that name for the end of the movie, which I refuse to spoil for you. Also, all the give and take in this movie is taken from cheap dime store novels, something that was super popular back in the 70s and 80s. Nothing is super original for that reason. Many scenes were taken straight from 0 Hour and the book Airport, and are replicated down to the details and discourse. They had every intention of making every scene in this movie a joke, so the repartee is half dime store novel and half extreme jokes. Now, I made mention in another Snozcast that flashbacks can get annoying. However, like the flashbacks of Drop Dead Fred, you begin to look forward to these. Not only do they tell that romantic story about Ted and Elaine and how they met, but they're goofy, silly, picturesque, and enchanting.
No wonder you're upset. She's lovely. And a darling figure. Supple, pouting breasts, firm thighs. It's a shame you two don't get along.
Yes, I know. Things used to be different. I remember when we first met.
On top of that, there are so many visual gags and such an incredible amount of physical humor in this film that it makes it damn near impossible for a podcast to describe so many scenes. One of the scenes, however, that got a standing ovation in the theater is just as appealing audio-wise as it is visually hilarious. Now, in the 70s and 80s, religious representatives from all nationalities used to flood the airports asking for donations. They even became a nuisance to the airports, and in this scene, Captain Kramer has too had enough and takes out every religious nut that approaches him.
Excuse me, sir, would you...
Donation to the Reverend Moon?
Juice for Jesus?
Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism?
Help Jerry's kids? Oh, yeah. Scientology? Or nuclear power?
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm sure ordinarily the flight would have been diverted to another airport or would just straight up turn back. However, as you'll hear throughout the film, everything has been diverted to other areas because of dense fog.
Chief, we got fog right down to the deck, every place east of the Rockies. There's no possible place they can land.
So they have to push through to Chicago. Along the way, things go from bad to worse as the passengers start to get nervous.
Nervous?
Yes.
First time.
No, I've been nervous lots of times.
What's going on? We have a right to know the truth.
I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Elaine delivers bad news.
Dr. Rumick says the sick people are getting worse and we're running out of time.
But Kramer knows what to say in a time like this.
You do what I tell you. When I tell you to do it,
there's no reason why you shouldn't have complete confidence in your chances to come out of this thing alive and in one piece.
And at this point, The press has gotten wind of things and want a statement.
Who's flying the plane? One of the passengers. But he's an experienced Air Force pilot who flew during the war, so there's no cause for alarm.
Stryker 2 is nervous.
Surely there must be something you can do.
I'm doing everything I can. And stop calling me Shirley.
Once the engine blows, I bring the Snozcast to a close. Why? Because if I go any further, I would spoil the fabulous ending that you have in store for you. Here's a bunch of trivia that goes on throughout the film that you can keep your eyes open for and enjoy along the way. Jimmy J.J. Walker has a cameo. See if you can spot him.
Fascinating.
For those of you who remember Joe Isuzu, David Leisure plays one of the monks in the film.
Interesting concept.
It only took a little over a month to shoot it and was shot over a hot summer.
Fascinating.
Smoking was banned on airplanes back in 1990.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And the Jaws intro you see at the beginning of the movie is the tale of a toy plane attached to a toy train running through a cloud of cotton balls.
That's very interesting.
I know, right? Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed my look at Airplane the movie and got the chance to escape your own little world for a little while. If you have any questions or want me to review anything, go ahead and hit me up at snozcast@yahoo.com. Or if you want to listen to anything I've done in the past or want to see what's coming down the pipe, you can see and hear it all on my website, snozcast.com, or on Spotify. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram under the word Snozcast. If you're new, thank you so much for giving me some of your time, and to the rest of my friends,
in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.